All right. The stories that we are going to do for you this evening are Anansi the Spider stories. And we have some of the youngers class to introduce the stories to you. We'll start with Christopher.
Who was Anansi? He was a man and he was a spider. When things went well, he was a man, but when he was in great danger, he became a spider, safe in his web high up on the ceiling. That's why his friend Mouse called him Ceiling Thomas.
Anansi's home was in the villages and forests of West Africa. From there, long years ago, thousands of men and women came from the islands of the Caribbean. They brought with them the stories of, they loved the stories about clever Anansi and his friends, the animals.
Today, the people of the island still tell these stories to each other. So in some country village in Jamaica, when the sun goes down, the children gather around an old woman and listen to the stories of Anansi.
Our first story is Anansi and the Biggest, Sweetest Melon. For weeks, Anansi had been sitting in his tree, dreaming about the sweet melons growing in Elephant's garden.
If you love melons so much, why don't you just grow them for yourself?
Why should I grow them? Why should I grow them for myself? An elephant grow them for me.
He's not growing them for you, he's growing them for himself.
That's what he thinks.
And then he went back to his dreaming. Each day, the hot sun and cold rain helped the melons grow bigger and sweeter until finally they were ready. Anansi wouldn't have wasted 1 minute, but he knew that Elephant would not want to share his melons. So Anansi waited and waited and waited. Finally, one day, Elephant was so hot and tired from working in his garden that he lumbered back to his house to take a nap. Right away, Anansi swung down from the tree and used a broken thorn to make a hole in the biggest, sweetest melon he could find. Then he squeezed inside and began to eat. He ate and ate and ate until he could eat no more.
I'll go back home now.
And then he said it again, louder, to the back of the theater.
Home now.
But when he tried to squeeze through the hole, he discovered that he had grown too fat to get out. Anansi sat down with a thud. Was he going to be stuck inside this melon forever? Just then, Elephant returned to the garden and chose the biggest, sweetest melon to eat for himself. Unfortunately, Anansi was inside.
I'll choose this one.
Anansi didn't have much time. Suddenly, he had an idea.
Who said that? I did. I didn't know melons could talk. This one can. I'm going to show this to the king.
So Elephant took the melon and started down the road. On the way, he met Rhinoceros.
Where are you going with that melon?
To the king.
To the king?
talking melon?
A talking melon, that's the silliest thing I ever heard.
As silly as you.
Elephant, why did you say that to me?
It wasn't me, it was the melon.
In that case, I have to wait you.
So the two of them went down the road. On the way, they bumped into Gorilla.
Where are you taking that melon?
To the king.
To the king?
To the king. This is a talking melon.
A talking melon? That's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Not half as funny as you.
Elephant, why did you say that to me?
It wasn't me, it was the melon.
In that case, I'll go with you.
So off they set down the road. On the way, they bumped into Turtle.
Where are you taking that melon?
To the king.
To the king?
To the king. This is a talking melon.
That's the silliest thing I ever heard.
Not half as silly as you.
Elephant, why did you say that to me?
It wasn't me, it was the melon.
In that case, I'll come with you.
So off they went down the road. Finally, they reached the home of the king, Lion.
Where are you taking that melon?
We wanted to show it to you.
Haven't you think I've seen a melon before?
Not one that talks.
Huh, a talking melon, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard.
Not half as silly as you.
Elephant, how dare you talk to a king that way?
The king grabbed the melon and threw it all the way back to Elephant's garden. The melon bounced and broke open. Anansi climbed out of the broken melon and up to his house in the tree. He yawned, closed his eyes, and was soon fast asleep, dreaming about all the melons he would eat that summer. The end. Ready, performers? The Quarrel. In the beginning, Anansi, Tiger, and Monkey were friends. They rented some land down by the river and set about clearing it. Every morning they went off to work, talking and laughing. Excuse us, we've got a wardrobe malfunction. Every morning they went off to work, talking and laughing. Anansi talked more than the others.
Over here. This is fun.
He carried the lunchbox, He liked his lunch very much indeed. When they got to the field, Tiger and Monkey would set to work at once. Anansi would rest in the shade of the mango tree for a while. Then he would go out and work with his friends for a bit. Then he would go back to the shade to rest some more. When the field had been cleared, the friends planted corn in it. The plants grew quickly and soon began to bear. One morning, Monkey, Tiger, and Anansi were in the field looking up at the fine crop of corn.
Look, some of the ears of corn are gone. Someone's been stealing our corn.
Tiger and Anansi looked. It was true. The corn had been picked in one part of the field. How angry they were! Very angry. Anansi seemed angriest of all. He seemed so angry that Monkey got suspicious.
Could it be that Anansi is taking our corn?
Monkey and Tiger decided to watch the field without telling Anansi.
Let's watch the field tonight and make sure Anansi doesn't hear this.
Got it.
When night came, Monkey and Tiger went to the field. Monkey climbed the mango tree and sat out on a branch. Tiger sat by the fence and watched. There was a full moon, so both Tiger and Monkey could see what was happening. An hour passed, and then another. Monkey and Tiger were growing sleepy. Then, down by the fence, Monkey saw something moving. Monkey decided to warn Tiger. He jumped down from the tree, and the noise frightened the thief, who began to run away. Tiger and Monkey followed as quickly as they could. Now they could see the thief as he ran across a patch of open ground. It was Anansi. Monkey and Tiger were very angry. Anansi could see that they were gaining on him. As he passed a banana tree, he called out,
Banana tree, help me!
The banana tree gave Anansi one of its strong fibers. He took the fiber and quickly climbed a mango tree nearby. He tied the fiber to a branch so that the fiber hung like a bridge between the two trees. Anansi climbed out to the middle and waited.
Stay here, Monkey. Anansi will soon want something to eat.
So Tiger and Monkey waited. Soon Anansi began to grow hungry.
Look, Tiger, you go and have your breakfast. And when you get back, I'll go and have mine.
Tiger came back half an hour later.
That was delicious.
Then Monkey went off while Tiger watched.
That was the best thing that I've ever tasted.
How hungry Anansi felt.
Ah, a fly. If I go down, Tiger and Monkey will catch me, and if I stay here and have that fly, that will be enough for me.
Slowly Anansi began to add another fiber and another, until at last he had built a web. And that is why Anansi the spider still lives in a web to this day. The end. Okay, our third Anansi story. Anansi and the Plantains. It was market day, but Anansi had no money. He sat at the door of his cottage and watched the animals hurrying to the market to buy and sell. He had nothing to sell, for he had not done any work in his field. How was he to find food for his wife and his children, and, above all, for himself? Soon his wife came to the door and spoke to him.
You must go and find something for us to eat. We have nothing for lunch, nothing for dinner. What are we going to do with no food in the house? Don't worry. I'm going out to work for some food. Every day you see me go out with nothing and come back with something. You watch and see.
Anansi walked about until noon and found nothing, so he lay down to sleep under the shade of a large mango tree. There he slept and waited until the sun began to go down. Then he set off for home. He walked slowly, for he was ashamed to be going home empty-handed. He was asking himself what he was to do when he came face to face with his old friend Rat. Rat was going home with a large bunch of plantains on his head.
Hello, Brother Rat. I haven't seen you in a very long time. Hello, Anansi. How are you and your family? Oh, and you are friends. I can't find anything to eat. My children are starving. They have nothing for dinner and nothing for lunch, except for water. I'm sorry to hear that. Nothing at all, not even a plantain. What a lovely bunch of plantains. Where did you get them? Where did you get them in these hard times? They're all I have left until my peas are ready in my field. Can't you spare just 1 or 2 plantains? I guess I could spare 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you, Brother Rat, but there are 5 of us in my family. Can't you spare just 1 more? I'm sorry. That's all I can spare. Thank you.
Anansi set off for his home. When he got home, he gave the plantains to his wife and asked her to roast them.
Can you roast me? Yes, I will.
He went outside and sat down in the shade of the mango tree until his wife called him to say that the plantains were ready.
Anansi, the plantains are ready.
Anansi went back inside. There were the 4 plantains, nicely roasted. He handed one to each of his children. And then he gave the largest one to his wife. And then he sat back down, looking empty-handed and very, very sad.
Don't you want some of the one of the plantains, Anansi? No, there's only enough for you guys. Go ahead. I haven't had anything to eat all day, but there is only enough for you.
Papa, have half of my plantain.
No, your children are too little. It's better for your stomach to be full and mine to be hungry.
Have half of mine, too. And half of mine.
Well, if you insist.
So in the end, Anansi got more than anyone else, just as usual. The end. Our last Anansi story is Anansi and the Moss-Covered Rock. Once upon a time, Anansi the spider was walking through the forest when something caught his eye. It was a strange, moss-covered rock.
How interesting. Isn't this a strange moss-covered rock?
Kaboom! Everything went black. Down fell Anansi, senseless. An hour later, Anansi woke up. His head was spinning. He wondered what had happened.
I was walking along the path, something caught my eye. I stopped to admire it and said, isn't this a strange moss-covered rock?
Kaboom! Down fell Anansi again. But this time, when he woke up an hour later, he knew what was happening.
Aha! This is a magic rock. And someone's walking on the path, and they stop to admire the rock, and they say, isn't this a strange Down he goes. I know just what to do. This.
So Anansi went walking through the forest until he came to Lion's house.
Hello, Lion. Isn't it hot today? Yes, Anansi, very. Would you like to take a walk in the cool forest with me? I would love to.
So Lion and Anansi went walking through the forest. After a while, Anansi led Lion to a certain place.
Lion, see? Yes, isn't this a strange moss-covered rock?
Kaboom! When Lion fell down, Anansi ran back to his house and took all of Lion's yams. Lion woke up an hour later. His head was spinning. Anansi was nowhere in sight. And when Lion got home, he found that all of his yams were gone. Lion was very sad. But Anansi was very happy. He couldn't wait to play his trick again. Once more, Anansi went walking through the forest until he came to Elephant's house.
Hello, Elephant. Isn't it hot today? Yes, very. Would you like to take a walk in the cool forest with me? Yes.
So Elephant and Anansi went walking through the forest. After a while, Anansi led Elephant to a certain place.
Elephant, see? Isn't this a strange moss-covered rock?
Kaboom! When Elephant fell down, Anansi ran back to his house and took all of Elephant's bananas. Elephant woke up an hour later. His head was spinning. Anansi was nowhere in sight. And when Elephant got home, he found that all of his bananas were gone. Elephant was very sad. But Anansi was very happy. He couldn't wait to play his trick again. He played it on Tiger.
Hello, Tiger. Isn't it hot today? Yes, it is. Would you like to take a walk in the cool forest with me? Yes, I would. Tiger, see? Yes, isn't that a strange moss-covered rock?
Kaboom! He played it on Hippopotamus.
Hello, hippopotamus. Isn't it hot today? Yes, very. Would you like to take a walk in the cool forest with me? Yes, I would.
He played it on rhinoceros.
Hello, rhinoceros. Isn't it hot today? Would you like to take a walk in the cool forest with me? Rhinoceros, I see what I see. Yes, isn't this a strange moss-covered rock?
Kapum! Anansi played his trick on every single animal in the forest. But all of this time, watching from behind the leaves was little bush deer. Little bush deer is small and shy and very hard to see. She watched Anansi play his wicked trick again and again on all the other animals. Little bush deer decided it was time for Anansi to learn a lesson. So little bush deer went deep into the forest to where the coconut trees grow. She climbed a coconut tree and threw down a great many coconuts. She carried them home and set them on her porch. Then she sat down beside them to wait. In a little while, along came Anansi. Anansi's eyes lit up when he saw little bush deer's coconuts. Anansi loved coconuts, but he was too lazy to gather them for himself.
Isn't it hot today? Very. Would you like to take a walk in the cool forest with me? I'd love to.
So little bush deer and Anansi went walking through the forest. After a while, Anansi led little bush deer to a certain place.
Little bush deer, what I see? No, Anansi. You must look very carefully. I still don't see anything, Anansi. You see it, you just don't want to say it. Say what? You know. Okay, if it makes you happy, you know. There, are you satisfied? No, you're supposed to say, isn't this a strange moss-covered rock?
Kapum! Little bush deer ran and got all the other animals. Together, they went to Anansi's house and took back all the good things he had stolen from them. An hour later, Anansi woke up. His head was spinning. Little bush deer was nowhere in sight. And when he got home, he found his house as empty as it was before. But if you think Anansi learned his lesson, you're mistaken, because he's still playing his tricks to this very day. The end.